3 wins in the last 5. Buck fakes short, goes deep, wide open. Oh no, Emmanuel Arsenault couldn't hold on.
Buck got rocked again.
And this is not a recording. Over and over, Buck Pierce keeps dragging himself off the turf.
Emmanuel Arsenault did everything in his power to run under this one. Pressure on Buck Pierce as he goes to unload. Marcus Adams puts the hit on him and just barely overthrows Arsenault, who gets his hands on it, but just couldn't survive the impact with the turf and was wide open.
Already has taken 6 hits, and we haven't reached the midway point of this second quarter. 2nd and 10, Paris Jackson, great catch in front of Sean Lucas, showing his great hands. Paris Jackson, the leading Canadian receiver in the CFL.
Buck Pierce doesn't show any ill effect from the last hit or the 3 previous. Steps into this throw and throws it up to where Paris Jackson has a chance, has to fight for it, and he wins the fight with Sean Lucas. Catching the football with your hands, and that fundamental, crucial for Paris Jackson there. Not letting it hit your shoulder pads first.
21 yards for Jackson. Bunch to the wide side. They pitch wide side. Martel Mallet, and he's brought down immediately. Good play by the corner, Donovan Alexander.
Well, once again, Buck Pierce has had to pick himself up off the turf after some hits. That was probably the softest of the 3 or 4. This was a big one. John Chick rocks him after throwing one to G-Roy Simon, and there's Marcus Adams. Just keep picking himself up and dusting himself off.
Loss of 2, 2nd and 12. Pierce, G-Roy Simon couldn't bring it down, and he could have run a little ways. G-Roy coming into the game 74 yards short of moving into 8th place on the all-time receiving list.
That ball just a little high, you know, and a lot of pressure on the Lions up front too, with Jason Jimenez out of the lineup, and of course Stevie Baggs and John Chick on the other side. Marcus Adams getting some penetration in this game, the line of scrimmage, so got to try and keep Buck Pierce on his feet, and they're up against one of the top defensive lines in the game.
White off the upright from 31, this from 42 yards out, and this one splits the uprights and doubles the Lions' lead with just over 7 minutes left. First half in Vancouver. John White has kicked a pair of field goals in this game. Jason Armstead dropped back. 6-0 Lions. BC looking for its 6th win of the year. Armstead with a nice shift. Up close to the 40-yard line. CFL on TSN. Action continues tomorrow. Another doubleheader of games. Game 1. First place Alouettes take on the Argonauts. And in Game 2, the Ticats meet the Stampeders. Live coverage gets underway at 2:30 Eastern, 9:30. Or 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. And Hamilton Tiger Cats better take note after another win by the Blue Bombers to make things a little more interesting.
The Calgary Stampeders, of course, watching this game.
Darren Durant looking deep, looking for Dressler. Ryan Phillips has another interception and another pick against the Roughriders. It's uncanny. His 4th of the year, all against Saskatchewan.
And in the last 8 games that Ryan Phillips has played the Saskatchewan Roughriders, including this first half, would be 8.5. He now has 8 interceptions against Saskatchewan. When he plays against the green and white, he makes a play somewhere along the way. And in 2007, 3 games, he had 4 picks. Now 8 total in 8.5 games. That ball slightly underthrown by Darian Durant and gave him a chance.
17th interception thrown by Durant. That's 6 for the Lions now. Martel Mallet off the left side. Tad Cornegay a tackle. Darren Durant said one of the interceptions last week at Edmonton, he didn't have his feet set. He said if you don't set your feet, don't make the throw. And watch the footwork here, a little bit awkward under pressure.
Well, you know, Chris Best looked like he bumped him. He went to step into it, and his offensive lineman got pushed back.
Everybody home, 206. Love y'all, man. Everybody, man. Deal everybody.
So Durant tried to step into that throw, and he got hit by his offensive lineman, and then he took all the heat off it.
Now Pierce chucks a first down completion. And G-Roy Simon has another catch, and they're back into Rough Rider territory at the Saskatchewan 46.
G-Roy Simon climbs up the all-time list. He just passed Daryl Mitchell, moving to 8th spot with 12,016 yards and counting. And he will be in that race with Ben Cahoon as they try and move up the chart.
Not surprising he's top 10 material all time. Surprising he isn't in the top 10 in 2009. Came into the game in 11th spot. And receiving, here's Pierce flushed. He takes off first time and hits the deck quickly.
Yeah, it is surprising, and it's surprising to a lot of fans here in British Columbia as well that G-Roy Simon is on pace for under 1,000 yards this year. And everyone in Vancouver wanting to see the star receiver for this football team have the ball thrown his direction a lot more, and those are just not typical G-Roy Simon numbers. But inconsistency at quarterback can do that to a receiver.
8 of 12 games, Simon has been limited to under 50 yards receiving. 2nd and 6. Pierce to Mallet out of the backfield. Tad Cornegay tosses him close to that first down stick. And it is a first down for BC. And yesterday, Buck Pierce talked about Martel Mallet becoming more important in the offense as a receiver, still learning that part of the game in his rookie year.
Boy, that's a similar play to the one they had last week on 3rd down to try and come back on Calgary. That time he one-hopped it to Mallet. This time, right on the money.
First down at the 35. Ryan Grace Mullen with a shift, but Mike McCullough didn't bite. What a great open field tackle by the veteran middle linebacker.
Well, it's a good situation for Ken Miller right now on defense with Ray Williams coming back. This is his 2nd game in the play of Mike McCullough, who, when you make a change and you think your backup linebacker, what will happen? How far will you get behind the 8 ball if you have to put in your backup? That has not been the case at all for Saskatchewan. Mike McCullough has stepped up, and they have not missed a beat with him in there.
McCullough and Williams now in. They go to 3 down linemen.
And this is the luxury they have. They can play them both.
2nd and 9, and handoff to Martel Mallet. Meet John Chick. What a defensive play. Chick's had himself a strong first half.
From the outside, little inside move right there. And I believe it's Demain Duckett, that new tackle that John Chick just took advantage of.
Tough to break in your first CFL start against a defensive end of the ilk of John Chick. And now White has to attempt from 45 yards out. And White misses that to the left side. And it'll be brought out by Armstead. We saw Javon Johnson earlier today. Armstead not as dangerous there as Lambala brings him down at the 14-yard line. But the Lions come up empty on that drive. An interesting first half of football here at BC Place Stadium. A couple of Sean White misses, a couple of Sean White field goals. 6-0 Lions. West Case not able to find any room up the middle. Aaron Hunt was waiting.
Well, after that last miss by Sean White, he went to the sideline, and Paul McCallum, who is not dressed on the 46, went to give him encouragement. And they do work together, even though this week it has been quite a storyline Paul McCallum asked to be traded if he wasn't going to play. He asked Wally Buono to trade him, and Wally Buono said he's not going to. He's not thinking, but McCallum is healthy. And told me he's been making field goals from outside, like kicking from 60 yards out, feels strong and ready to go. Wally Buono feels that Sean White has not lost his job. And that storyline was prominent this week.
There's Don Sweet now, the kicking coach for the Lions. Guy who really stresses the mental part of the game now, working with Sean White.
Well, I understand Wally Buono's thought on Sean White being that he is the future. He's a young guy. The concern is, you know Paul McCallum's track record in big games. You know that he's had that pressure on him. You don't know with Sean White.
Second and long, Gary and Durant looking outside, and he's got Fantus. Talked about Paris Jackson's hands, and there's another great Canadian receiver with sure hands, Andy Fantus.
Oh, without question. And Andy Fantus here is going to make a nice move, first of all, on Ryan Phillips to freeze him. That gives him that 1.5 yards of separation. When he chopped his feet there, and watch how Durant throws him to the sideline and lets him reach out so that Ryan Phillips has no shot at a second interception.
Canadian player of the week last week, Fantus, his best game of the year, 7 for 71. And quick hitter to Chris Getzlaff, and Dante Marsh is there. Ball popped loose after the whistle. Rolled dead at the 35. Been a gain of around 5 yards for Getzlaff.
Been a real interesting half. Take another look at this play and make sure that the whistle blew at the right time.
Anton McKenzie begged to differ. They give him forward progress at the 37. Challenge flag is out from Wally Buono. It's been a clean first half, I think. 3 penalties.
Well,
none in the first quarter.
Sorry, Chris, the ball came out in that last one before Getzlaff was on the ground. Question was that whistle.
Yeah, the whistle had blown. And
BC is challenging the ruling on the field that the forward progress was stopped. The play will be reviewed